All right, we're going to take a look at one other schema design tool. Now, the one that we just took a look at, this last one on the list down here, was really diagram based. We clicked on a couple buttons, we clicked on the screen, and then we manually dragged and dropped stuff around. We clicked on those different boxes, changed some settings, and whatnot. The other type of design tool you're going to see is a little bit more code based. So we're going to take a look at the first one on this list, dbdiagram.io. And this one is going to be a little bit more around the idea of writing out some configuration code that describes the structure of our database, and then it's going to be turned into a diagram for us automatically. Let's just take a look and see how it works. So once again, inside of a new browser tab, I'm going to navigate to dbdiagram.io. Here it is right here. You'll notice that there is some pricing. So this technically, you can pay for it, but we're going to be using only free versions. As a matter of fact, we don't even have to sign up to use a thing. So you can click on either Go to App on the top right or create your diagram right on the center. Once you do so, you're going to come to a page like this. So in this case, we still have the kind of visual representation of how everything is put together. We can see that we've got a couple of different tables here. They're linked together with some different foreign keys. They have many different columns, and each column has some kind of type assigned to it. But in this case, rather than trying to modify these tables by, say, clicking on something and then changing the name, we instead can write out some code or configuration on the left-hand side. Now, the actual code that we're writing out here is not actually SQL per se. Instead, it's kind of a custom format. That might sound a little bit daunting, a little bit scary, like what, this is some new language we have to learn? No, not really at all. You can actually get by with a tool like this knowing very little, really just by kind of copying a lot of the stuff they've already written down here inside the reference. So let's very quickly take a look at how we would build up a table of users, comments, and posts here as well. So I'm going to highlight everything here and delete it. You'll notice that all the boxes and whatnot fall away. We're then going to create 3 different tables. So I'm going to put in here, and let me zoom in so you can see the text very easily. I'm going to put in first a table definition. So I'm going to create a table called users. I'll then put in a set of curly braces, and inside of here, we're going to list out all the different columns that this table is going to have. Right now, I'm just going to say that this is going to have an ID of type integer, and I can abbreviate that simply as int or integer. Either one is going to work just fine. And then inside of a set of square brackets, I'm going to provide some configuration for this column. So I'm going to say that it's going to be a primary key by putting in pk, and then I want it to be automatically incremented by putting in the keyword increment. Now, again, it's seeming like, hey, this is a brand new programming language we have to learn. Again, not really at all. You can always go back to the first initial example that was on here, and you can really just take a lot of the configuration from that example and really understand how stuff works pretty darn quickly. Then after that, I might copy paste this down twice. I'll then call the second table comments, and then finally the last one, I'll make posts. Then inside of each of these, we could add in some username, maybe some contents, and a title to posts. So inside of users, I might add in username and say it's going to be a varchar. On comments, I'll add in contents, and again, it will be of type varchar. And then finally on posts, we can add on a title and say it's of type varchar as well. You'll notice that we do not have to put in a semicolon or comma or anything like that. Then finally, we would want to put in our actual relations between each. So in this case, we want to add in some relationship or some foreign keys to this comments table. So in this case, to do so, we would write in user underscore ID is going to be an integer. And then inside of a set of square brackets, once again, I'm going to put in ref colon. I'm going to say that this is pointing at, so I'm going to put in a greater than sign, users.id, like so. And as soon as I add that in, if I start to drag these boxes around a little bit, I can see that I've now got a nice little line connecting the ID of a user to the user ID inside of comments. Then we can repeat that and change the next one to post ID, and then the reference to posts.id. And there we go. We're now left with our 3 boxes representing our users table, comments, and posts. We've got our foreign key columns on comments, and they're clearly pointing at the user table and the post table. Now, you might not like this tool too much compared to the last one because, well, we have to learn this brand new syntax. I know that's not the best thing in the world, but the nice thing about this tool is that you can take all the text inside of here, save it to a file, and then commit that file to, say, Git or GitHub. And then you've got this nice file that is in version control that describes the exact structure of your database. And if anyone ever wants to really see the structure, they could take the text from that file, copy paste it into this tool, and ta-da, everything's right here. They can drag it around and whatnot and make use of it very easily. So even though having to understand this new syntax right here is not the best thing in the world, and even during this video you might have said, hey, Stephen, wait, what's going on with this line right here? Totally understand having to add this new stuff, not fun, but nonetheless, this is still an interesting tool. Okay, so we've taken a look at these two different kinds of SQL schema designers. So we've got the one that we looked at in the last video that's really just about kind of visual drag and drop and orienting these different boxes and applying some different fields. And the second type, which is a little bit more about actually writing out some configuration file, feeding it into this program, and then it spits out a diagram that we can interact with. So it's really up to you which one you use. You don't even have to use either the ones I just showed you. Besides the extra 3 that I show right here, there's tons of other options out there online. And again, all you got to do is a Google search, something like SQL Schema Designers, and you're going to see very quickly a lot of different options. You don't even have to use a tool intended for SQL schema design. I'm using a tool called draw.io right here to actually build these different diagrams and whatnot. You can even use this diagram tool to put a schema together. It doesn't have all the fancy bells and whistles to automatically wire stuff up together. It doesn't really know what a SQL design is, but at the end of the day, we've got some boxes that we can link together with lines. That's pretty much good enough. All right, so now we've seen some of these different options. Quick pause right here, and we're going to start to tackle our Instagram schema design in the next video.